Hello and welcome to a very special conversation. Today we have with us Sachin Pilot, former Deputy Chief Minister of Rajasthan, Congress General Secretary in charge of Chhattisgarh, in charge of Northeast Delhi, but also one of the Congress Party's star campaigners. Sachin, I'm glad to catch you in the middle of this election. Where all have you been? Every time I call you, you're in a different state. How
Yeah.
many states?
We have seven phases of election, so it's a lot of travel and it's spread out over 2 months. So it's been a lot of travel. Now today is the third round is over, so we are now exactly halfway to
280
election.
seats. In fact, I've been seeing, I was looking at the Congress campaign thing, you've covered what, 10 states and I don't know how many
I've
meetings?
been because first 2-3 rounds, जहाँ elections हुए, I've gone to almost all the states, and we had a good campaign. I think our candidates are good, our campaign strategy is good, our narrative is positive, and people are actually, thanks to the BJP, our manifesto now has become the talking point. So it's helped us.
I found it very interesting. A lot of your allies are now coming to TV studios with the Congress manifesto. The other day I saw Priyanka Chaturvedi, other Congress allies also saying, "Dikhao, isme kya Muslim word hai," which is very interesting.
नहीं वो I think what has happened after the first 2 rounds, the BJP realized that the ground is slipping. और जब उनको लगा कि भाई they're on a back foot, then they started making things out of thin air. अब हमारे our manifesto is in black and white. It's in English and Hindi. And we talked about giving MSP a legal framework. We talked about making the NREGA payments 400 rupees per day. We talked about giving women, young people opportunities, and things which are positive, which are constructive, which people of India want. So clearly, our manifesto is much more talked about than the BJP's. There it's about one individual and photographs and patting yourself on the back, but nothing that's of relevance to the next 5 years that people wish to see. So, and the allies, of course, they understand that the Congress party is a party that's 140 years old. Priya. We've been in government opposition, and there is certain experience we've got as a party. So, what we say is with a lot of seriousness, a lot of authority, and I think it's getting good traction amongst voters.
I mean, finally, I think the Congress has got a good manifesto. I'll say that for you because the last few elections, I think you were the back foot, but now at least the focus is on issues where they are focusing more on the face, which is again, I mean, how successful do you feel you've been able to bring out issues rather than making it a Rahul versus Modi fight? Was it a planned thing कि हम एक face नहीं दिखाएंगे?
Nee, I think if you recall in 2009 also, people asked, is Manmohan Singh ji the face, is Sonia Gandhi the face? And she says, the Congress party is the face. And now also, I don't know, India of course has a sitting prime minister, but in the alliance we decided, and in a very frank and open discussion amongst the partner allies, that we will take a decision of who will get what position once we secure a mandate. Idea today is to safeguard what we stand for, to have a united opposition, and to come to the people of India about what we believe is a very abysmal report card of last 10 years. तो हम उसको मुद्दा बना के रख रहे हैं, and people have accepted that. And somehow the BJP is attacking our manifesto, which is purely a positive agenda. They are unnecessarily attacking. उसमें कह रहे हैं मंगलसूत्र छीन लेंगे, भैंस छीन लेंगे. All these things are so unfounded, and कोई दम नहीं है उसमें. So it's helping getting traction to our manifesto, which is working for us, I think.
दम नहीं है, but फिर भी despite the fact that they don't have maybe a great issue the way you have, they still are way ahead. Even now today, you would say maybe not 400 पार, but 300 तक तो
देखिए अभी
लोग
3
बात कर
फेज
रहे
हुए
हैं.
हैं, and the so-called sympathizers of the NDA BJP are realizing that the ground is slipping, they're on a back foot, and our candidates are surging ahead. As the phases go by, you will see it doesn't take much. In 2004, Vajpayee ji was very confident of India shining, giving a winning line to the campaign. Ultimately, it was a total reversal, and I think 20 years later, exactly same thing is going to happen in this 4th of June counting day.
I remember Jairam Ramesh said that, right? He said the losers don't know why they've lost and the winners don't know why they've won in the India Shining campaign. So that you think that's going to happen?
मैंने ऐसा नहीं है, देखो, purely if you look at the things BJP spoke about in 2014, price rise, unemployment, corruption, black money. On all those 4 fronts, they have got nothing to show for last 10 years. You talk about mandir, masjid, Muslim, Hindu, Mangal Sutra, I think that's a reaction to what the reality is. That in 10 years, you've not been able to deliver. In fact, we have the highest recorded unemployment. We have huge inflation. The farming sector is in distress. And for me, I think is far more worrying is the fact that the gap between rich and poor has become so much. The rich have become super rich, and the poor have really fallen back. So that also is because of the faulty economic policies. Agniveer, for example, there's no need to cut off all recruitment and have only Agniveer. तो खुद तो 10 साल सरकार में हो गए. Now they want 5 more years, 15 years.
Yeah.
And for Agniveer, they won't give only 4 years. How is that justifiable? So these things are, you know, people, at least in hinterland, जो गांव में लोग लड़के तैयारी करते हैं, पढ़ाई करते हैं, they feel कि भाई, for what reason are we being deprived of having only 4 year service? So these are all questions, these decisions are taken, I think, without consultation. What worries, I think, a lot of thinking people is also that we have a government for last 10 years. They have put 2 sitting chief ministers in jail. They have seized the bank accounts of the Congress party. It took the Supreme Court to intervene and give us relief. You have 147 MPs being suspended in a single day and then getting bills passed on the back door. So all these they don't argue well for the future. And people are worried about, you know, the developments and the attitude the government has worked with in the last 10 years.
But you heard the Prime Minister's interview. Look at he was talking about the Congress track record. He said, "हमको तानाशाही कहते हैं." What about their track record with democracy? How many governments they've dismissed? How many people they went after during emergency? How many people went to jail? So, you know, your track record is also, memory may not be so good, but Congress is
50
not.
years ago, what government did what is one thing. And I think the BJP, and this is a very unique phenomenon I've seen, the ruling party is making accusations against the opposition. Usually क्या होता है, विपक्ष आरोप लगाता है सरकार के ऊपर. यहाँ सरकार कांग्रेस पे आरोप लगा रही है, नेहरू जी के टाइम से. नेहरू जी ने ये किया, इंदिरा जी ने ये किया, भाई आपने 10 साल में क्या किया? You give a report card and you discuss and debate on performance, on delivery, commitments, promises, assurances. आपने कितना किया है? उस पर तो डिस्कस करना नहीं है. नेहरू जी ने ये कहा था, फिर इंदिरा जी ने ये कहा था, फिर राजीव जी ने ये कहा था. I mean, to talk about, and then that also shows that you don't have something to defend of your own record. That's why you go back and attack things that happened 50, 60 years ago.
But okay, let's talk about your manifesto. You know, you're talking about reservations. Now, that's created a huge stir. First of all, are you going to be taking reservations away from the OBCs and giving it to the minorities? How are you going to implement the caste reservations?
You know, the Constitution is really the most sacred text for anyone in this country. It clearly defines that there is a legal framework according to which socially, educationally backward classes of people should be given help and assistance. And we believe that people who are not in the mainstream, they could be SCs, OBCs, STs, even forward caste which have economically backward upbringings, उन लोगों के लिए to give helping hand and affirmative action, no one can be against it. But to sell this false propaganda कि आपका छीन के उसको दे देंगे, भाई कांग्रेस सरकार 55 साल जनता के यहाँ काम करा इस देश में. In 55 years of being in power, what has the Congress taken away? We gave land to the tiller, we gave Narega right to employment, right to food, right to education, right to information. So we have made, rights-based issues, the Land Acquisition Act, we give compensation more. So this false propaganda of stealing, इसका लेके उसको दे देंगे, ऐसा नहीं है. And by the way, OBC communities are there in every religion. There could be people who are not Hindus but belong to OBC communities. And it's a state level decision of who's in what category. According to that people, but there's no mention of any religious based reservations in the Congress manifesto. It's not there in the Constitution, it's not there in our manifesto, but ये mouth publicity करके बोल रहे हैं कि भाई वो धर्म के आधार पे देना चाहते हैं. It's just not possible.
Also, you know what people are saying in terms of you're trying to pitch Mandal against Kamandal, which is fine as a narrative. But Rahul Gandhi, as the face of Mandal, they talk about Rajiv Gandhi, who really scoffed at the Mandal Commission report. Akhilesh Yadav, Tejasvi Yadav, yes. But Rahul Gandhi, Congress party, as the champion of the OBCs and the backward castes, somehow it doesn't.
India's moved ahead last 25 years. Has the wealth percolated down to the bottom of the pyramid? No. We need means and tools. Ab dekhiye, why should we have a caste census? The Congress Working Committee decided that we must really understand our geographical spread and a society how it's placed. When you make a policy decision, you allocate funds or a budgetary allocation or make a program, you can only target if you know what the current situation is, in what conditions people are living, how much quantum of money is required, what are the outlays, what are the outcomes. We don't have empirical data. 200 लोग हैं या 2 लाख लोग हैं. Then how do you actually target those communities? How do you give them help? Once we know exactly who's living in what condition, then you can fine tune and nuance our policy making. That's a simple, the only reason why the Congress party says that we must know exactly कितने लोग कहाँ पढ़े लिखे हैं, कितना घर में उनकी आमदनी हो रही है, how they're living and how best we can support. There's nothing wrong in having a scientific way of assessing how should the government make its policies, programs, and how should we target areas, geographical and societal communities so that they can benefit. Who can argue with that logic? And the Congress party, it's not that we are saying अब ये लोग कहते हैं आप जात की बात करो, नहीं. It, see, social combinations is a reality of Indian politics, but it doesn't define our politics. Our policy making happens once governments are formed. Once you are in government, you have to work for everybody, but you really can't make a scientific assessment of what is needed and what is to be given if you don't know the numbers. If you don't know, who's living in what condition, then how do you justify? किसी को ज़्यादा मिल रहा है, किसी को मिल ही नहीं रहा है. It's and also so many years have gone by. Are our policies working? Is it are we getting enough results from what we've done? Sometimes people के भी इनको बहुत मिल गया. Now there are other more deprived communities. Let's target those. That's the only reason why I think Congress party has clearly said that we are in favor of having a caste census so that we get to know exactly कौन कैसे कहाँ रह रहा है.
Okay, so fine. Congress is a champion of the poor, but now the rich are feeling insecure, or the wealth generators, that the Congress is targeting the corporate class, the people who made money of their own.
The
एक inheritance tax आ रहा है, वैसे he is against industrialists.
Priyaji, the great Indian middle class, with all humility can I say, is actually come out of the economic policies of the Congress governments. It was Dr. Manmohan Singh in 91 as finance minister who unleashed the economy and opened it up. And that's why we had 8-9.5% growth every year. And that's why the whole world talks about Indian economy, because we have a large middle class. And it's so wrong to assume that Congress, I think, and if you look at our manifesto, it says we must create wealth, but not for a few. Create wealth for the entire country. अभी आप अपने सारे ports, airports, बिजली घर, खान की, you giving it to just few people, right? And like I said earlier, the gap between rich and poor is so much that the top few percentage people have all the resources, all the wealth, and all the financial strength. So we believe that we must create wealth, but it must be distributed equally because there is a mechanism to do it. Government छीन के ये कर, that's fear mongering. किसका क्या छीन रहे हैं? In fact, if you look at the 90s, when Congress government was there in the early 90s, liberalized the economy, opened the economy. It is the BJP that was against FDI in retail, and against FDI in defense, against the Indian-US nuclear deal. It was against direct benefits transfer. It was against GST. It was against WTO. I mean, Swadeshi Jagaran Manch, all these guys used to keep talking about.
But when Modi came, he did implement some of
it.
it.
So, no, they turned back. So, hang on. You've changed your stand because you now in government. When in opposition, you have then you become government, then you change it. They made fun of the DBT, the direct benefit transfer. Manmohan Singh ji sarkar mein, I was a minister in the government. We started doing this. Bank account में transfer होना चाहिए. This is गलत है. अब सरकार आ गई तो अब खुद आप DBT कर रहे हैं. You were opposed to GST. Now you have a faulty GST that you implemented. FDI and retail, they used to oppose it in parliament. I remember very clearly. Now they're all for it. WTO, they used to oppose it. Now they're all for it. So they've changed their stance many times on economic policies. I don't think it's fair to say that the Congress party is for against anybody. We are there for a national identity of us going from a developing to a developed country, and it can't happen with just playing with numbers and data. $5 trillion economy, but ठीक है वो तो इस देश में इतना बड़ा मुल्क है, economy will grow, but is it going to its potential? Are the people who are on the fringes, are they being brought to the mainstream? Is India an level playing field for all entrepreneurs and all businesses? No.
Okay, you mentioned Manmohan Singh, which reminds me, I just, last week I was in Bombay and I met an old former colleague of yours, Milind Deora. He is pointing out one of the reasons he is upset with the Congress is he's saying of course, he's saying the policies of not reaching out to the middle class, not reaching out to the urban class, and he says that Manmohan Singh's reforms, the Congress never celebrated it. There were 3 decades of this thing reforms. It's all very well to bring him out when
did I not
you mentioned it.
Dr. Manmohan Singh's contribution without any prompting. He has been a proud Prime Minister of India.
Milind will be happy. I'll send him an interview.
No, Dr. Manmohan Singh actually is a proud congressman, is a proud Prime Minister. We celebrated his tenure as Finance Minister and then as Prime Minister for 10 years. 140 million people were lifted from abject poverty in his tenure.
But why don't you
We started
celebrate the
Lyrica.
anniversary of liberalization or 10 years, 30 years?
There's
Look
no-
at the BJP, they take any
there
excuse
is no
to
cutoff
celebrate
date.
anything.
There is no cutoff date.
Or
But
whatever.
I think the Congress president, whether it's Mr. Kharge, whether it's Mrs. Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi, everyone, I think, holds Dr. Manmohan Singh in the highest esteem. He is, and he said once, if you recall in Parliament, that history will judge me more than what's being given to me in present times. Because
At a press conference, he said it.
he has impeccable credentials and his honesty and sincerity is beyond doubt, right? And he had served this country as a politician, as a gentleman politician. He was benign but very strong. He did the US nuclear deal. He opened up the economy for reforms, and his contribution to our economic built-up will never be forgotten. I mean, there's no two ways about it.
Okay, we can't talk about the Congress and not talk about the Gandhis. So Rahul Gandhi contesting from Amethi, from Raebareli and not contesting Amethi. How do you see that? You've seen what the BJP has to say.
No, so many leaders have fought from 2 seats, and it was the demand of the Congress workers, the party, and the alliance. Like Akhilesh Yadav is contesting as a member of parliament, even though he's an MLA,
Right.
because it was needed in UP is a very large state. So Mr. Gandhi contesting from Raebareli will give a boost to the alliance, to the candidates and the party in North India. And it's a decision of the party. And Mr. Gandhi has very clearly said that whatever the party decides, I will do. And as a disciplined soldier of the party, he's doing that. He's contested from Wayanad, which he'll win by record margin. And he'll win by record margin in Raebareli also. So whatever party decides to कि आपको यहाँ से लड़ना है, वो वहाँ लड़ रहे हैं. And Mrs. Gandhi was the earlier MP from Raebareli. And now Rahul ji
But
was contesting.
Amethi people feel that there was a fight, Smriti Irani versus Rahul. Is it because he didn't want to make it
there
Smriti
will be a
versus
fight.
Rahul? He's taking.
KL Sharma, please don't take him lightly. You watch what happens. He's been there since 1983. He knows, and Smriti Irani ji only came to Amethi 8 years ago, 10 years ago. But since 83, Mr. Sharma has been there. He knows every nook and corner of the constituency, the political landscape by heart, and he's much more connected to the issues and the people than anybody else. So this election, I think the Congress party will win that Amethi seat also. So bear in mind that
But
people
what is
say
the.
कि रायबरेली में राहुल जी जीतेंगे, Amethi we will be as strong as Raebareli.
So what is the messaging by not making a Gandhi fight from Amethi but giving it to a constituency manager who's been
What manager? He's a party worker. He's an NSUI person, youth Congress person, party. I mean, he's secretary in the AICC.
You know what I mean?
45 साल. No, I'm sorry. All of you start labeling people. मैनेजर वर्कर नहीं भाई, उसने 45 साल जिंदगी की खपा दी कांग्रेस पार्टी में, पदों पे रहे हैं, काम किया है, he knows, he manages, and because he has such a tight control and knowledge of the district, that's why parties asked him to contest. And Rahul ji contesting from Raebareli, I think will just continue the long tradition of the Congress party securing a massive mandate from Raebareli also.
There's no conscious, okay, let me put it this, attempt to move away from the narrative of Parivarvad and dynasty, and to say like BJP keeps saying chai wala versus the Parivarvad.
So BJP talks about dynasty only when the dynasts are outside the BJP. When those dynasts come to the BJP, then it's absolutely fine. They have the Ganga Jal de Chidko and then become non-dynast. And if you have some allegations against you, that washing machine comes and you become perfectly fine. So you can't have both sides of the argument. If you're against dynastic politics, then why do you entertain sons, daughters, nephews, grandchildren in your own party? ये गलत बात है. So it should be fair play. I think anyone who deserves to get elected will get elected. Someone being from a family cannot be his or her qualification, but should not also be a disqualification. If you have the merit and the hard work that you've shown, then people will elect you. But yeah, argument doesn't stand because it's two-faced. How many people in the BJP are sons, daughters, nephews, nieces, grandsons of other political leaders? I can name you dozens.
But the argument is none of them are in the position of a party president or in position of. I know Rahul is not the party president. But he has remote control in the party.
Party president. You explain to me how Mr. Nadda got extension. Who voted for him? Who filed his nomination papers? Who elected him? Who was electoral college? At least in the Congress party, we had Shashi Tharoor and Kharge fighting. Both contested. We had ballot boxes in all capitals of the country. We voted. National election हुए, and Mr. Kharge won that election. We had an election. First Dalit got elected by the Congress voters. I think over 10,000 people voted for him. Which other party has done that? So you can't have both sides of the argument. And which person in the Gandhi family has been either a chief minister or a prime minister or a minister in the last 30 years? Party has elected Mrs. Gandhi for so many years. It's our decision. and we have a fair election. वहाँ वोट डाल के जिता के भेजते हैं हम लोग जिसको जिताना होता है.
तो फिर वो power without accountability argument आ जाती है ना. They may not have held the post, but they were running the party.
No, she was president for 25 years, 20 years, Mrs. Gandhi.
Yeah.
Mr. Gandhi was president. He resigned because he took ownership of the loss we faced, and he's helping the party in every way which he can. So ये बीजेपी का नैरेटिव बहुत पुराना हो गया है. आई थिंक वो बार बार उसी बात को बोलते हैं, उसमें कोई दम बचा नहीं है. बिकॉज डायनेस्टी वाला जो अलाइज इनके साथ एनडीए वाले, उनकी फैमिली को डायनेस्ट है तो डायनेस्ट नहीं है, और इंडिया लाइन्स का कोई व्यक्ति डायनेस्ट है तो डायनेस्ट होता है. हु आर देयर टू डिफाइन? बट द सेम डेफिनेशन अप्लाइज टू बोथ ना. वो सब they just basically you target the Congress, you target the Gandhi family, and so that it distracts the attention of the voters from real issues, farmers issues, price rise, women's safety, investment, border incursion by China. इतने सारे issues हैं, उस पर तो चर्चा करने को तैयार नहीं.
Okay, last question on Delhi, since now you're also handling Northeast Delhi. What are the chances? Because a lot of Congress workers are unhappy. The ticket was given to Kanhaiya, who they don't really seem as much of a Congress person, and B, someone from Bihar. So there is how are you going to manage the sentiment within your party plus outside?
Delhi is a melting pot. People from all walks of life, from all parts of the country come and live here. So Delhi, you can't define whether are you a Delhiite or non-Delhiite. And Kanhaiya is a young political leader. He's in charge of the NSUI. He's worked hard in getting the student movements out, and this is an alliance we have in Delhi. So we are contesting 3 seats, and Aam Aadmi Party is contesting 4 seats. I think people of Delhi are quite wise, and they are the ones who can sense that this election is an election for change, and perhaps the biggest change will come from Delhi. Delhi people have seen 7 MPs of BJP twice. There's huge anti-incumbency against the sitting MPs, and the government also will get a strong message from Delhi, even though it's a small city state. But the electoral decision in Delhi will certainly have a psychological impact. So I'm confident that not only Kanhaiya, but majority of the seats of the India Alliance in Delhi we will be able to win.
And about Kejriwal, how do you see? Do you think this case against him has it helped, in terms of votes, has it helped his popularity? This
I think time will tell. It's a matter sub judice. So I don't want to give comments, but I think the Aam Aadmi Party is doing what it can legally to challenge what the government has done in action. But frankly
even
speaking,
emotionally
in the middle of the election, to put 2 chief ministers in jail, whatever the reasons may be, you may differ ideologically, you may differ at a personal level, but I think it's wrong to have put under custody or in detention 2 sitting chief ministers. This never happened before, and I think people also are watching this very closely.
this might backfire. Final question. This has been an election where you're seeing a lot of your colleagues have gone over to the other side. So, remember that famous picture of you with RPN Singh, Sindhya, Jitin Prasad and Milind Deora. How is the Congress without all of them?
People from all age groups have joined and left the party.
Yeah, but this was the class of 2004. I remember you all came together.
में सब अमरिंदर सिंह छोड़ के गए हैं, गुलाम नबी आज़ाद छोड़ के गए हैं, अशोक चव्हाण छोड़ के गए हैं. तो वो तो हर श्रेणी के लोग छोड़ के जाते हैं और आते भी हैं. We have 2 sitting MPs of BJP, लोकसभा MPs who joined the Congress party. एक चूरू के MP हैं, वो बीजेपी कांग्रेस में आ गए. एक हरियाणा के MP हैं, कांग्रेस में आ गए. तो चुनाव से पहले चलता है आना जाना. It's not that important. People actually vote for the party, for the ideology, and what you stand for. People come, join, rejoin. Mr. Lovely from Delhi, he joined BJP, came back to Congress, gone back to BJP. So how much credibility such people might have in the long run is a matter of decision by the people of the constituency, and time will tell. I don't think anybody is forced to go out or is forced to stay back. It's an independent decision. You have compulsions, you have 100 other reasons to do or not do, but whatever you feel comfortable, that ecosystem, that ideology or the political path that you choose, is an individual decision.
Sachin, I wrote a book on young leaders, and in fact, which I'm going to present to you after the show. The chapter on you is called The Last Congressman Standing. So that itself is a very good note to end this.
I'm very happy the fact that I'm fighting for what I believe in, and the party has given me a lot in the last 20 odd years. Now it's time that I should also give back, and I'm doing. I mean, whatever responsibility I get, I work as hard as I can, because that's the kind of person I am, and I try and deliver for the party. It can't be कि party मुझे पद देती रहे, मैं कुछ deliver नहीं कर पाऊँ, या मैं ही काम करता रहूँ and party doesn't recognize. So it's a two-way street, and the Congress is a 140-year-old party. It has seen many ups and downs, and the final word that BJP has been in power for 10 years. What goes up must come down.
on that note, physics as well as politics. But thank you so much, Sachin Pilot, for talking to us.